Well, hey everybody, and welcome to phase 2 of the D110 Defender build. And phase 2 includes the Axial's chassis and transmission links, things like that. So in this video we're gonna get this here all put together. This is the frame from what's left over from my raw builder's kit, which, you know, at the time I bought it, I thought, you know, there's a lot of parts in here I could probably use, and I did use them, a lot of them. I mean, I'm not exactly sure where these axles came from, although they are Axial. They are not from the builder's kit. Anyway, the axles from the builder's kit are in the Rubicon Jeep half cab. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I bought these separate. I can't remember. If anyone can remember, just let me know. Alright, so I was just screwing around one day. I threw a bunch of links on here, and yeah, I really didn't have a body in mind. So as you can see, everything's off, right? Like these here need to be flipped. These need to be flipped. Not going to use this battery box up in the front right here. Going to go with the scale transmission on this one. Probably an SSD. I have one left. I did order some transmissions, but that was over a month and a half ago, and they're still not here. So, you know, I can't wait for everybody. Got some links. I bought several different kinds. I don't know, maybe these will work for me, I don't know. Otherwise I have 3 other different kinds. These are do seem kind of light. The other ones I have are a lot more stout. Like, you know, I have like this set right here. There's some weight to that, right? And then there's this set. It comes with, you know, basically those, you know, all aluminum chassis trucks. But you know, they have not failed me, okay, and they're not a lot of money. This was all in the order at the same time when I made the order on the transmission, and the transmissions still aren't here. I've had these a long time. Okay, so a few mysteries were solved when I pulled this out. One being, for some reason, when I was working on that Rubicon half cab, I'm going like, wait a minute, I'm short one of these King shocks. I wonder where it is. Well, guess where it is? It's right in here in my hand. The 4th one is in the toolbox over here. So I'll have to go find that, dig that out, so at least they'll be all the same. What we're going to do on the D110 is we're going to try to 4-link it first. We may end up going with like a leaf spring in the rear, but I'm going to try to 4-link it first. It is a pretty heavy body. So, and as you can see, since I did try to use this on the, what did I call it? The Comanche. I'm going to call it the XJ Comanche, because it's neither. Okay, I was going to use this axle for leaf springs, but I decided to go with the RGT racing axles instead. This ought to be a good time. Probably going to figure out links first, and while you're hanging out and waiting, you might as well like, subscribe, and you know, wait for whatever else comes up. Remember, I work on full-size and RCs as well. Well, I got all the links all straightened out, and I decided to go with this style right here. Only because, like I said before, they have never failed me, right? So we're going with them. However, there may be some adjustment needed here, okay? Because the body is pretty darn long, right? And I just wanted to show you. I got everything here. These links came with extra spacers right here. Some thicker ones, probably about double. On the front one, for the 3-link, I had switched the ends to angled ends right here. You can see it, maybe better from the bottom. There's an angled end here, an angled end up here, so it's not in a bind. And previously, when I took pictures for Facebook, Instagram, I had these tires backwards. So before somebody says anything to me about it, I figured I better change it. Okay? Alright. I just threw these on. These are mock-up. These are not the tires that will most likely go on this truck. They're just a mock-up. I used them on the last truck, so why not use it on this one, right? So, anyway, put the King shocks on because I have a mess of them here, and I don't have to buy any. They're pretty decent. They don't really leak much. I mean, all shocks leak, right? But they don't leak very much. And I think next up we're going to have to just throw the body on it and see where we're at. Alright, so that's not in the mounting position yet, obviously. But it looks like I need to extend this wheelbase a bit. That gives you a better idea. How much? Well, that's a good question. Alright, so I guess that's level, basically, right? And if I leave the front alone, that'll be fine, I'm pretty sure. But the rear needs to go back. Okay, so how far back? Good question. Is there a measuring tool I have here that'll work? That's a good question. 8 millimeters. Let's take this out of the package. Maybe we can use what we have. Won't have to dig into my secret stash. So, if I take a small one and a big one and I put it together, what do we get? It's just over 8 millimeters. Alright? I would prefer to have either 2 4s or something like that in order to, I mean, these links, the threads go in quite a bit. I mean, like that. Right? So let's say if I did just this on one end, that wouldn't leave very much, right? If I do one thick one, that's about 4. If I do one thick one, that's about 4. I got 4 of them. That'll take care of the bottom. 2 thin ones will make it 4. So let's see what it would look like. Okay, let's go with 2 thin ones, right? That'll still give plenty right there. Because if I screw that down, it's like that. If I have 2 thin ones on each side for the bottom links to get the length right, then I just need to adjust the top link to get the pinion angle right. So if I do 8 in the bottom, 8 on top, I should be correct. Well, I decided to go a different route. Here's the old rod ends right here, and here's some of them I found which are a bit longer. Okay, so let's check the difference here. Okay, 19 millimeters on the original, and the ones I put on there 26. So I added another 7, and that brought that wheelbase a lot better. I mean, Yeah. What do you think? Can you see? I like that. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is on the top links I'm going to do the same thing so that the pinion angle is correct, and then we can go ahead and move on to installing a transmission, which is, you know, there could be some modification needed. I think we have the wheelbase pretty close. It's really hard to tell since the body's not set exactly where it'll be, but I think, there, let me just get my hand out of the way. Okay. Well, this thing keeps wanting to go to one side, so it's hard to, well, that's pretty close, right? So, take a straight on look at that. Even if I was to run like these tires, it'd probably be okay. However, like I said before, I believe in the last video, that this body's pretty heavy, so we'll have problems with body roll, things like that. May have to run thicker oil in the shocks. But the tires I'm putting on here are a little bit smaller. These are 4.75s, and the ones I want to put on here are like 4.5. So they'll sit down a little bit. Truck will come down a little bit. It'll lower the center of gravity and should make it better. Alright, so now we've got to figure out transmission. So this here is my last SSD transmission. These are pretty darn incredible. It'll sit somewhere up in here, but I will need to remove this right here in order to get it in there, because this will actually act as a cross member sitting right up in here. Okay? Then after that I just need to figure out, you know, things. You know, like steering and all that happy stuff. So let me go ahead and take this off and get this here mounted, because in this particular case, usually I cannot, well, it's not that I cannot, but it's difficult to get this right here and this bracket together while it's in the chassis. It's easier to, well, come on now, line up. There, almost there. Oh, come on, you can do it. You can do it. Come on, one more. Ah. So normally it's something I would do outside the chassis, but in this case, actually that's upside down now. Dang it. There we go. In this case, it's going to be completely wide open in the front, so I can put this on and then, you know, bolt the transmission up to it, because you got to put the motor in and all that happy stuff first before that gets connected, and if I do that, it'll be good. Alright, so I'm going to pop this battery tray out, slash, I think it's a servo mount, and see if we can get that installed. Well, it looks like I decided to go ahead and mount the actual wheels and tires that are going to go on this rig, and you're probably wondering why I went with this color. I mean, especially since I have gray right here, right? Well, the same reason is for this is because of the, you know, the half cab Jeep. I wanted to break up the gray and black, right? So I'm going to use those on something else. These are Trio wheels. They have a weighted center ring, and with BFG Goodrich KM3s, about a 4.5 inch wheel instead of a 4.7, and I think they're going to work pretty good. Let's take a look, and before we look at, you know, this mess right here, because that's going to have to change. So if we just set the body on, there's things that are missing from last time. Alright. That looks pretty good, I think. Let's back up. That looks pretty good. Like I said earlier, when this body is all mounted in place, everything will change. So, as you can see, the wheelbase looks a lot better with this little bit smaller wheel, entire combo. And I'm actually taking a look back on this. I could dig it. Once this thing gets a little dirty, I mean, you won't even know. So, alright, let's talk about that transmission. As you know, the transmission I wanted to use was this SSD transmission. I mean, it's been a dynamite transmission for like many of the builds I've done. And in this case, it's supposed to be made for the SCX-10 but there's a problem. So let me get you to the shaky camera and I'll show it to you. Alright, we're on the shaky camera now. Hopefully it's not too shaky. Okay. Anyway, if I put this, okay, so let's just say approximately where it's going to go. You can see the output shaft right here for the front differential. Even though it would be a great straight line right there, you know, it's going to get in the way of this top link. Okay, and this here is too close to the frame rail, so it won't even sit in there right. So what happened in the last couple days is this: the transmissions finally showed up that I had ordered like a month and a half ago, and I think that will work out much better than this. So with the transfer case sitting here just like it is, this would be coming from the transmission itself, and this output shaft would come at an angle down to here. Okay, not ideal, but it's better than trying to go through this link, right? And at the rear, that will be pretty much a straight shot right to that rear pinion. All I gotta do now is get this R3 transmission that I ordered mounted somehow. Here's the transmission, the R3. This is the RC four-wheel drive, I believe it is. I mean, I bought it off eBay. It was about like 4 of them. Okay, I plan on doing a few rigs this year. So one, you know, a couple of them might be even them 3D printed ones. And I may end up using an SSD on one of them, and maybe another one of these on one of them. The divorce transfer case would be the ideal one for the 68 Dodge, because that had a divorce transmission. Divorce meaning this is not connected to that. Okay? So, the next question, alright, so there's a couple brackets right here. Right here. This one. About how this will fit in here. So I'm not sure if I'm going to get to that in this video. But it also means I'm going to have to pull this bracket out that was for the SSD that was doubling as a cross member. The cool thing about this transfer case though is that it comes with different gears, so you can overdrive or underdrive overdrive the front or underdrive the rear. I mean, there's several gear sets right here, so you can play with that and do all kinds of weird stuff. The way it comes is it's basically 1-to-1, which is what pretty much everything I own is. So we may run it like that in the very beginning, and then see if if we're into some severe terrain, I have to overdrive the front, then I will. However, I kind of made it my golden rule that, okay, if I'm running an RC truck and I'm running it realistically to a 1-to-1, a 1-to-1 does not have overdriving the front or underdriving the rear, right? 1-to-1 is basically, full size would be a 1-to-1 gear ratio, and it'll be I guess you could say driver talent that would dictate that. The one thing about this here too is it's a lot heavier than the SSD, so it's going to put a lot more weight up front right here. This has actually got some good weight to it too, so there's going to be some middle weight. But as far as adapting it to work, no, that's turned the wrong way. Okay, adapting it to work may be a little bit easier, depending on how this transmission sits. I may have actually a coupler for that if it's in line, with this input shaft. Alright, well, if anyone has any comments, suggestions, or anything of that sort, feel free to give them to me. I've never adapted a RC 4-wheel drive R3 transmission to an Axial before, Axial frame before, so if any of you have, I'd be really interested in knowing what you did to make sure that happened. Alright, this is RC Mechanic Garage. Well, I'm going to leave it right here right now. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment on anything you've seen today, and hopefully I'll have this transmission figured out in the next video. Thank you for watching.